Okay, so this is part 2 of our 7.3 inequality lesson. This is where we're going to be writing equations. We're not going to be graphing anymore. We're going to use graphs or information to write inequalities. All right, so let's read our first situation here and figure out what are some key words or things that we need to make a note of. So the first thing that stands out to me is that he is spending at most $8.25. Carrots are going to cost $2 per package, that's for carrots. And then grapes are going to cost 75 cents per bag. Okay, hopefully because you see these two per words, you recognize that this equation is going to be in standard form. So we're going to have two variables with numbers. So hopefully you recognize, let's see, C would be the cost, could stand for our cost, oh, not our cost, I'm sorry, the number of carrots. Number of carrots. And then we're also buying grapes, or Elijah's also buying grapes, so G could stand for the number of grapes, or grape bags. And then $8.25 is going to be our total. Now, the difference here today, so you should, I'm talking over myself, all right, we got $2 for carrots, plus we can do 75 cents for grapes. Now the difference is going to be that this one says at most, which means he doesn't have to spend $8.25 exactly. It's just he can spend at most $8.25. That means what he spends has to be less than or equal to $8.25. All right, so this symbol right here comes anytime we see the phrase at most. Or if you think about spending money, you have to spend less than what you have, right? He can't spend more than $8.25 because he doesn't even have more than $8.25. All right, so this is my inequality, and that's all I have to write for this type of problem. So I just kind of wanted you to see that. The biggest things that you need to have noted here are that your symbol and that it means at most here. All right, so that symbol is at most, or anytime you're spending something, you have to spend less than whatever your budget is. Okay, in our second example here, they still want us to write an inequality. I know that this is an inequality and not an equal because I've got shading and I have a dashed line. If this was supposed to be an equal sign, it would just be a regular line with no shading or anything else. Okay, so the easiest way to write this line would normally be y equals mx plus b. Remember, your b is supposed to stand for your y-intercept. But you may notice there's an issue here because if I look at my y-intercept, I can't really tell exactly where that is. It's not crossing in a nice place, so I cannot use that method to start. So instead, I'm just going to find two really good points. I see one right here, and then I'm going to find another good point. When I mean good, it's crossing in the corner of a box. I see another one up there. So the first thing that you need to write down in your notes, since you may not have this graph drawn, I would tell yourself that you're going to pick 2 points that are on the boundary line, and then we need to name those points. Notice that we're counting by 2's here. So this first point is -2, 0. And then my next point is going to be 4, 10. In between 8 and 12 is 10, so that's 4, 10. All right, so to write my equation, you all know we need to find the slope first. So I'm going to do y2 minus y1, y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. Pause the video real quick and see what you get for that. Okay, so I got a slope of 5/3, and now we can just pick one of our points. Pick one of our points to use to write our equation. It doesn't matter, remember, which one you pick. So I'm just going to pick that first one because it has a 0 in it. I'm hoping maybe that makes it easier. All right, so let's try that. We're going to do y minus 0 equals 5/3 parentheses x plus 2. Remember, when we do parentheses, we got to think opposite. We do need to fix the parentheses here, so this is going to be y minus 0 equals 5/3 x plus, now you may not have a calculator, but if you put this over 1 and multiply, you get 10/3. I still want this to be in y equals, so technically I could add 0 to both sides. Remember, that's not going to change anything, so I've got y equals 5/3 x plus 10/3. Now, there's one issue with this being my final answer, and the issue is this equals sign. Remember, if it was equals, it would just be a solid line. There would be no shading, or it wouldn't be dashed at all. So we need to think about where is it shading. So here, if you look, we're shading above. So if the shading is above, that means I need to be picking either greater than or equal to, because it's greater, it's above, it's bigger. If then I need to think about dashed. Well, if I'm trying to pick between these two symbols, if I want to know which one is dashed, I have to think about which one would be open, right? And that's this symbol right here. The other one would have given me a solid line, which means my final equation is going to be y is greater than 5/3 x plus 10/3. All right. Okay, the last thing you need to do is just copy down this little table of keywords. It's just for the symbols that are above. It's words that you're going to see in word problems so that you can recognize which symbol you need to choose. So at the end of the video, just pause so that you can write those down, and I'll see you in class tomorrow.